liftoff and the clock has started.
Welcome to episode 15 of the Tesla Time Podcast, the UK Tesla Unofficial Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Winter, and on this week's show, we talk about Tesla taking over West Sussex in the UK, why the moves that Tesla are making in China are nothing short of incredible. We talk Model S Plaid screens, Roadster news in the UK, software updates, along with much, much more. Stick with me because you know it, it's that time again. It's Tesla time. Tesla time indeed. You join me on Thursday, the 16th of September as I record this. Greetings, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the Tesla Time podcast. Now, a couple of housekeeping notes before we jump into the news, and there's a lot of news to get through as per usual. Firstly, on last week's episode, I reported on the screen in the Model S will not be tilting. So that's the screen in the refreshed Model S was rumoured to be tilting, and I said this isn't going to be happening anytime soon. I said that the rumours of it coming to the current cars in way of software updates are not true. But it just so happens this week just past, Teslarati commented on the topic because they received images of a Tesla Model S Plaid out in the wild that had a tilting screen inside. Now, this was clearly a Tesla employee's vehicle, and what often they'll do is they'll have Tesla engineers driving cars that have certain features and or functionalities that are not available to date. And what they'll be doing is just doing, real world tests, seeing their usability, seeing whether or not it's something they want to implement. Now, although this perhaps you could argue suggests that I might have been wrong about the Model S screen ever tilting, I still stand by my sources and say that the current Model S Plaids that are shipping to customers today, the ones that are in, customers' hands as we speak, we do not have any evidence that suggests the mechanism, the hardware is built into those cars behind that screen. We've seen people tear down those screens, or tear down those cars, I should say, whether that be to increase track times or race performance or whatever. And the arm, the boom that looks to be behind this screen on the Teslarati post is not apparent in these teardowns of the current vehicles that are coming out today. So yes, it looks like it might come one day and perhaps sooner than I first anticipated or said about, but right now we have no evidence that it's there today. Now, the second thing I wanted to mention to you is that Tesla have launched a new mega buck project in the UK, partnering with a company called Autobidder. So this is a battery story rather than a car story. So I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it's a Tesla story. It's a Tesla UK related story, and a good one at that. So just quickly on this one, Tesla have written on their site saying the following, quote, Autobidder has hundreds of megawatt hours of assets under management that have supplied gigawatt hours of grid services globally. Autobidder operates at every scale from aggregation of behind-the-meter residential systems to 100 megawatt utility scale installations. With seamless integration between hardware and software, Autobidder can be trusted to capture revenues immediately after project energization and 24/7 in dynamic environments, end quote. So this is, of course, great to see that Tesla are helping utilize sustainable energy in little old Blighty. So I wanted to touch on that very briefly, although, like I say, not a car story, but one I wanted to mention. And finally, and then we will jump into the news, 5 more seconds, Tesla are reported to begin trialing the opening of the Supercharger network in Norway first, and as early as this month, September. Now, that might get pushed to October, and I'm going to hold off diving into this story until it does indeed open up in Norway. We've talked a lot about this subject matter, the pros, the cons, the reasons why this decision has been made to open the Supercharger network. So I don't want to labour the point. Let's wait and see how it goes in Norway. I will be feeding back to the listeners about, general feelings within Norway, how it goes from a Tesla corporate perspective, but also from a Tesla owner perspective. And that about does it. So, on top of all of that, as per usual, lots of news to get through this week. And yeah, let's get going. In China, Tesla is well positioned to drive forward with supercharger destinations, sites and stalls, thanks to the completion of their supercharger factory last week. This is the story that Inside EVs reported on, and they had the following to say, quote, "One of Tesla's new investments in China, the Shanghai supercharger plant, was recently completed and is ready to ramp up to full speed. The site was initially launched in February 2021 with a goal to produce 10,000 V3, that's 250 kilowatt charging, supercharging stalls per year. Assuming 10 stalls per station, on average, it would be enough for 1,000 stations. Currently, there are more than 900 Tesla supercharging stations in China and more than 7,000 stalls. With the new plant, this number can grow very quickly. We assume that Tesla will also export the superchargers from China to other countries, at least in Asia," end quote. Now, the importance of all things supercharger related, supercharger stations, stalls, sites, whatever you want to call it, is both physical, as in, you physically need those stations deployed all around the globe so that you can travel. Superchargers are the backbone of being able to travel long distances in a Tesla EV, but also not just physical, kind of psychological, getting over that psychological barrier of, people just have this feeling, even I get this, my whole life is on charge. My laptop, my phone, my car, my iPad, everything is on charge nowadays and constantly running out of battery and constantly thinking, I need to plug that in, So there's a psychological barrier to going electric. There's obviously range anxiety, which a lot of people talk about. Like there's a barrier there, and I think superchargers are the key to help us get over that barrier, both Tesla owners but also those ICE vehicle owners that are potentially looking at the options of going electric. Now, here's to hoping that they do start exporting these stalls out to other regions. Obviously, China is massive, so they're going to need a lot of stalls over there. I know you can never have too many superchargers, right? So the US will want more, or the UK need a little bit more. I don't think we're actually miles off. And if you look at the plan on tesla.com/GB, you can see the plan for Tesla UK superchargers does look pretty good over the next couple of years. I don't think we're a million miles off, but there's going to be a lot of other regions that Tesla are starting to ship to and expand in. I wanted to report on this at the top of the show, and the reason I wanted to do that is because although it's great talking about new cars and exciting track times and gadgets and all that stuff, it's stories like this that are so important to ensuring the success of the Tesla organization in the future. Superchargers aren't quite as glamorous and wonderful to talk about, but they are just as, if not more, important to discuss. Now, sticking with China for just one more minute, has anybody seen the giant delivery center that has been opened up in China? Electrek reported on this week saying, quote, Tesla has built a giant new delivery center in Beijing, the largest in China and possibly the world, as it expects big things to come in this important market. It's an 11,800 square meter building with over 100 spaces for deliveries in Beijing. This new delivery center is part of the new infrastructure needed to handle the volumes in China, end quote. So there are images online. I would massively recommend you go and check these images out. There's actually a really cool video, by the way, that Tesla China have posted, which you'll find online too, of like a walk around the delivery site, and it gives you that feeling of like, when you're like an 8-year-old walking into a ginormous toy shop. It's exactly that. Someone who follows Tesla or is loves Tesla or is a fan, follows the company, whatever it might be. That that delivery site is like the mecca of all things Tesla. It's shiny. There's Teslas everywhere. It's got that opulent feel. And funny enough, it made me think about when I picked up my Tesla. So I picked mine up from Southampton Docks down on the south coast of the UK. And what's cool about that is the boat that carries the Tesla Model 3s from Giga Shanghai. So it comes out of China. It goes all the way to the south coast of the UK. And, my car must have been off the ship for probably no more than 24 hours. It was like literally brand spanking new. And they literally just park them there. They wheel them off the ship and they park all the Southampton collections. They park them right there. Now, the great thing about that is there's loads of space. So you can just line them up all the way along the shore. The negative is when you turn up and say your name and you go, oh, you're Bay 424. You think, oh, gee, I got so far to walk. But anyway, what's really cool is there's loads of space, so you can just max out the deliveries. And I think I definitely got the feeling that Tesla enjoy you picking your car up from Southampton. It saves obviously ferrying them around the country. The only thing I would say is, although the day, collection day for me was one of the most exciting days in my life, it didn't have that opulent feel. Like in the past, I previously owned a BMW. You go there, you get a cup of tea, you get to sit down in a comfy sofa. A guy comes over in a suit and is like, "Hello, Mr. Winter." It's just got that opulent feel. You don't get that at Southampton Docks in the rain. You know what I mean? Like, it's not quite like that. It's more exciting because picking up a Tesla for the first time is, it's a vehicle like no other. But it's not quite got that. Whereas this delivery center in China absolutely does have that kind of posh feel, and it's great to see Tesla are expanding in Asia and China specifically, because you got to remember China's EV market is extremely competitive, and Tesla haven't arrived on the shores of China that long, but are already seeing huge progress and success, which is awesome, even though the Wuling Mini, which is the highest selling EV in China, by the way, and it is so cheap. It's got small range, it's a very small car, but it's dirt cheap. So it's great to see that Tesla are still having success with that premium price tag their cars still have. Now, I do know that a lot of the listeners listening today are, from the US or the UK. I understand you're kind of sitting there thinking, why is he talking about China for so long? But this will have a knock-on impact to those in the US and the UK in the long run, and in Europe, anywhere outside of Asia, because Tesla's growth in China is so important, because China is such a ginormous market. If they succeed there, it means more cash, which means more research, which means more development, and then ultimately, I guess at the end, better products for everyone. So, yeah, if you don't live in Asia and you're thinking, why is he going on? This is still super important news, and super good news as well. So good news all around for Tesla China. Congratulations to the teams out there who no doubt are working tirelessly on all things Tesla. The Tesla Roadster is set to drive the length and breadth of the UK again. Electric reported this week, quote, "This weekend, a Tesla Roadster will make the journey from Land's End to John O'Groats, an infamous 870-mile drive spanning the full length of the island of Great Britain. This drive has been done by EVs many times before, but in this case, it's in a very special vehicle. The very first electric vehicle that ever did the drive. The same 2010 Tesla Roadster, still on its original battery, is set to make a point about EV battery longevity," end quote. Now, in the previous story, we talked a lot about that psychological barrier to taking the leap into the world of EVs, and it's campaigns like this, although it sounds a little bit flippant, this can really help the adoption of sustainable electric vehicle travel. People will see this story, they'll see the car driving through their town or whatever, like it will gather momentum and attention, and it might just be the driving force that makes people hit that take that leap, I should say. I was going to say hit that button, but take that leap. So it's super cool that the first ever car to do this back in 2011, the Tesla Roadster, is doing it again. The actual vehicle itself is the exact same vehicle, not only with the same battery pack inside, as mentioned in the story there, but also to the ICE vehicle world. No oil changes have happened since. No filter changes have happened since. No gasket nozzle upgrades have happened since, or whatever. Like, you can tell I'm not... Anyway, people who, don't follow this stuff won't know that unlike an ICE vehicle, unlike an internal combustion engine vehicle, there isn't 1,000 tiny expensive parts that can go wrong in an electric vehicle. And if a scheme or a project like this can help get that message across to just a few people, then I am, massively behind it and think it's a great idea. Also, side note, what a testament to Tesla this is. This 2010 Roadster, this is the first model that Tesla ever released. Back in 2010, Tesla were effectively a startup company, right? And Elon's talked a lot in the past about the naivety that they had going into that project, how they thought, it was going to be relatively straightforward and easy, and it turned out to be one of the hardest things he's ever done. And effectively how many things not only went wrong in that process, but are wrong with that car. It's not as refined as the cars we now see coming off the line in the world of Tesla. Nevertheless, this one is still running smoothly. It looks great. Of course, it looks a lot like a Lotus Elise. It shares a lot of its parts with the Lotus Elise. And last point on this, by the way, the original Tesla Roadster that these guys are driving cannot utilize the Supercharger network. Okay, so the original Roadster doesn't have the high power DC connector required to utilize the fast charging, the fast charging that we have today. So what does that mean for these guys? It basically means that their charging limits cap out at 7 kilowatts. Okay, so they can't charge any faster than that. So the total journey, they reckon, is expected around 36 hours rather than something like 15, which a modern day Tesla could do it in now. Of course, they're having to stay overnight probably in certain places so they can charge the car. So from a Tesla Time podcast perspective, a huge good luck to Dean Fielding, David Pilo, Glyn Hudson, and Alexander Sims, all of which will be spending time in the 2010 Tesla Roadster at some point on the journey. So, a huge well done for what you guys are doing. Enjoy the journey. I hope it goes great, and I can't wait to hear how you guys get on. Tesla software updates are incoming. Elon Musk took to Twitter last week in response to some questions around the Model S Plaid to say, quote, track software update probably a few weeks away. I know, haha. Also, waypoints and other things, end quote. So obviously there's a standout point in the tweet there, but let me just cover the first couple of parts to start with. Currently, the Model S Plaid does not have a track mode, but this looks like it's coming very soon. Now, Model 3 performance owners will know this already, but track mode in those cars include things like vehicle handling customization, so that's handling balance, regen braking adjustment. You've got real-time status monitoring, that's things like optimal vehicle cooling, vehicle status details, G-meter view, and then you've got the performance review, so lap timer, video logging, and telemetry data. Just to give you an idea of what to expect, we can probably expect similar features and functionalities coming to the Model S. Now, the second thing in this tweet, I love how Elon recognizes his timeline estimates have not exactly been... let's say they haven't been airtight in recent history, to say the least. And I love that, this is a billionaire CEO, one of the most famous / influential people on the planet, still has the wherewithal to self-deprecate like that with I know, ha, as he comments on the timeline he gives. So huge kudos for him for that. But for me, the most exciting thing there is he mentions waypoints. Now, it makes sense to put this in a tweet based around the Model S Plaid, although it's safe to say this will probably roll out to all Tesla models. Now, the reason it makes sense he's mentioned this as part of the Model S Plaid is because the waypoint discussion came up in a big way at the Model S unveiling event back in June this year. And actually, I've got the clip, so just take a listen to this. So this is June. This is the Model S Plaid unveiling event. Take a listen.
And then we've got an all-new UI. So really want waypoints. Okay, does everybody here want waypoints? All right, fine, we'll do waypoints. God damn it. All right. 2 weeks. All right, we'll do waypoints, fine.
There you go. More evidence of a self-deprecating Elon Musk laughing again at his 2 weeks thing. I love that clip. That's the Tesla community on their feet calling for something, and the CEO of the company, not only hearing it but commenting on it and taking the action. Now, for those of you that are not aware or haven't had the need for something like waypoints in the past, this is the ability to effectively add a second or third destination on your way to your primary destination. So this would normally be seen as a relatively, rudimentary feature, which, to be fair, is included in pretty much all mapping software and applications. It is a huge oversight by Tesla here, in my opinion, whether that be Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever it might be. Most mapping software has this built in as, de facto standard. So people have been hammering Elon for this feature, on social media and stuff for about 10 years now. So that clip was brilliant because it was just a chance to pin him down. He was talking about the UI. He actually had a picture behind him of, a close-up of the screen in the Model S Plaid with a map on it. And pin him down and express the desire that the Tesla community have for this. And like I say, seemingly simple feature. They're not asking for much here. But if you kind of take a step back just for a second, this is exactly what I love about Tesla. Since the dawn of time, or the dawn of the automotive car industry time, you know what I mean? If you bought a car and the nav system didn't have a feature, didn't have whatever it might be, waypoints or I don't know, night mode or whatever it might be, right? If it didn't have that, that was it. That was a negative thing about the car. It would come up in, reviews of that vehicle. By the way, the UI isn't great because it doesn't have XYZ, whatever, Now, with Tesla, we can scream and shout, whether that be on Twitter or on forums or at events in front of Elon. We can provide feedback. We can question Elon. We can hold the company to account. And we can effectively, with people power, vote for a feature to be added. Now, right now, our cars do not have waypoints, right? But in the not too distant future, you will wake up one day and your car will have waypoints. And that is just awesome. And that is something that we should never, ever take for granted. And, it's great to see the rest of the automotive industry are moving to over-the-air updates. The only side note I would say to all of this is the Tesla teams work super hard on so many projects, on so many deliverables. It's not through, I'm sure, the will of the Tesla employees that we don't have waypoints. I'm sure they really want to get it out to us, but these people are super stretched, super busy. So again, it's this is just it's a good story. It's the community saying we would like this prioritized more. Everyone at that event knows waypoints will eventually be in our cars. We would just like it sooner rather than later. So I thought it was a great clip. So wanted to share that with you. So anyway, according to Elon's tweet, waypoints will be with us in a few weeks, but again, he says, I know, haha, on his timeline. So pinch of salt there, but it's very soon, which is awesome to hear. Now, allow me to indulge in another Giga Berlin update. This one comes in from Talk News. This actually came through just yesterday. So Talk News had this to say. When I say Talk News, I'm saying TORQU. Little play on words there. This came through yesterday, and it says the following, quote, "As of yesterday evening, Tesla Giga Berlin received 2 additional pre-approvals from the Brandenburg State Environment Agency for its Gigafactory in Grünheide, Germany. That means that the construction of rainwater pools, extinguishing water, and some other buildings can basically go ahead, which is certainly good news, not only for Tesla fans, but for the EV industry in Germany and in Europe as well, as that factory will be providing cars and 4680 cells for the European market," end quote. So again, more good news coming out of Giga Berlin. This comes as, Giga Texas seems to be ramping up. More images and drone flyovers of loads of Model Y castings, hundreds of them stacked and racked across the plant, and also pictures have leaked this week of Giga Nevada, I think it is. No, hold on, let me just check this. Sorry, Giga Texas. Sorry. So in Giga Texas, they've already started turning on the machines and started. The rumours are building Model Ys very soon. So, Giga Berlin is behind. But the one thing I would say is, I'm following this like a hawk. All the news coming out of Giga Berlin over the last, I would say, 2 weeks now, maybe 3 weeks, has been positive news. It's more approvals. It's, this difficulty is now out the way. This objection is now being ruled out. Everything just seems to be, the sea seems to be parting for Tesla in Germany. So that is good news. And of course, I will keep you up to date as soon as the factory comes online and we start getting Model Ys out to Europe from Europe in Giga Berlin. Now, last one for you this week as I aim to hit my 30-minute window, which I try and do every week and almost fail every week, is that FSD Beta 10 is now out in the beta testers' hands, that walled garden of lucky individuals in the US that are testing it. And I would go and check it out. So Beta 10's come out, Beta 10.2 is already out. Go onto YouTube and just type in FSD beta test and you'll see a whole bunch of beta 10 videos. The feedback that people are providing is incredible. Like, this is, as Elon said, beta 9 to beta 10 is a radical jump, a radical shift in improvements, and that is certainly what the community are seeing in the real world. I've seen some incredible videos of beta 10 driving, automatically driving around places like San Francisco, which is renowned for its terrible roads, or not terrible roads, I should say, but just really complicated, busy city to drive around. That it just looks way more positive. And although, it's still an aid, you still need your hands on the wheel, it's not there yet, and it's still got a way to go. The community are recognizing the steps forward that it's taking. Are we there yet? No, but are we stepping in the right direction consistently and almost constantly? New iterations are coming out now every 2 weeks. Yes, we are, which is fantastic to see. And Elon's been talking about the button. We expect the button in the next 1 to 2 weeks. So that will give anyone... by the way, I need to confirm whether or not that is outside of the US. But certainly any of my US listeners, if you have FSD activated on your Tesla, you will soon be getting a button which you can hit and you can have a play with the FSD Beta 10 trial. So that will be also interesting to see, and I'll cover that in all of its glory as and when it happens. So stand by for that one. That about does it for this week's episode of the Tesla Time podcast. That's 15 wrapping up now. 15 shows in, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm glad to see that so many of the Tesla community out there in the UK, the US, other regions in Europe, I can see on my, podcast recording software where you guys all are. It's fantastic to see you guys getting in touch and getting involved in the show. If you want to be involved in the show, you absolutely can. Just drop me an email at teslatimepodcast@gmail.com. That's teslatimepodcast@gmail.com with, any any questions, comments, discussion topics you want me to either raise on the show or we can cover over email. My favourite thing to do is talk Tesla, so please feel free to reach out. Like I say, that about does it for the show. Thank you so much for listening. Next week we will be recording the show as normal. It will be coming out next Friday. The week after that, I'm actually on holiday, so we're going to take a little break. So episode 16 will be next week, and then episode 17 will be 2 weeks later as I'll be on holiday. I'm going to Greece, which I'm thoroughly looking forward to, although I will, of course, miss my Tesla. But we will be back with episode 17 as normal after the 2-week break, and then we'll be getting closer and closer to the Q3 earnings call, which will soon be on us. So I'll be bringing you all the clips, news and data from that. It'll be interesting to see with the recent successes that Tesla are having in both supercharging and FSD and China and all this good news that is coming out of the world of Tesla, to see whether or not Elon will be on that earnings call. And the last earnings call, the Q2 earnings call, he actually said that I probably won't be attending these anymore unless there's anything, major or urgent that needs to be covered. Which, to be fair, kind of makes sense. You've got like the head of autonomy, the head of product there, the head of EVs. Like, you've got all the big bosses there. Do you need Elon? Probably not, but it's great to hear from him just every 3 months, just to give his view on where the company are, where the company have been, and where the company are going. So, with such positive news to share to the shareholders, it'll be interesting to see if he attends. Anyway, either way, Tesla Time Podcast will be there. I'll be clipping it up and sharing it with you guys so you can hear straight from the horse's mouth, if you will. Thank you so much for listening. Take it easy, everyone, and I will see you next week on the Tesla Time Podcast. Take it easy. Cheers. Peace.
Tesla Time.